What is up? This is Jonathan Crane with the Birmingham Tuesday Night Worlds group ride, Birmingham, Alabama, CoronaVirus edition on Zwift. I'm really just testing to see if I can record Zwift stuff and upload it to YouTube or whatever, or stream it, or I don't know. So I wanted to start with a group ride rather than a race that I really care about. But I figured this would be good content because I can talk through group ride etiquette on Zwift, talk about setting up your own group ride on Zwift, all that stuff. So you can see right here, my teammate Z Raider, right? He's just said green light there. So we're actually going to kick it off right here, hitting 640 something watts there. So how this ride works is, in real life, we ride together, meet up at the shop, about 50 people, usually ride together for 10, 15 miles, and there's a known point, there's a stoplight that we go through, and once you go through the stoplight, it's on hard as you want, and then everyone kind of knows the top of this hill is a finish. So it's about 40-minute effort in real life. This is the Zwift version, so we chose a course and did 4 laps together, easy, and then we're just going to do 1 lap hard. So that was Zach, who is the ride leader, telling us all the green light, it's time to go, and I kicked it off, ripping a little effort right there. That's me in the light blue kit, kind of phasing through to the back of this group. I'm kind of checking up to see, did I split it? I think we started with like 25, 30 people. And when Zach said go, I was pretty much trying to rip it from the gun, rip it apart. So I put a little effort in and then settled back in and see. I like to float to the back of the group on a Zwift ride like this and just see who's still here. Kind of take stock. So now it looks like I'm ripping another effort. And this is kind of just how I do it on these group rides. Just throw out a 500 watts here, 500 watts there. And every time the group comes back to you, it's normally 1 or 2 less people. So get back to the general concept of this ride. In real life, we ride together for a few miles and then we basically race simulation for 40. We do obey traffic laws, but I think we only go through a couple lights and 1 stop sign, so it's pretty much on for 40-ish minutes, 20-ish miles. It's a really good effort every week, probably the fastest ride in Alabama. Definitely got all the heavy hitters showing up from all over the Southeast. Sometimes people come from out of town to do the Tuesday Worlds ride. So this was our way of keeping it going during quarantine. And I make this dumb face when I'm going hard. This is the first time I'm looking at myself while I'm riding, and it's really strange. So we're on Zwift. Zwift just added an update where you can choose different worlds from the 3 that are available to anyone when you log into Zwift. Used to be there was always Watopia and then one more world that rotated. They've added 2 since lockdown. There's been a lot more people on Zwift. It's been really crowded. And then they did an update this week where when you set a meetup, which is how we did this ride, you can choose any of the worlds. So I got on the horn with Zach, who sets this ride up, and said, hey, we should choose a world that's not in the rotation at all, because you can choose any of them. So we pretty much got the road to ourselves here, which is nice for a group ride like this. It gets really messy when you can see that Zwifter's nearby tab over on the right, and I'm kind of keeping track of how close everyone else is to me. Looks like they just caught me. That was a good little flyer. And you can see Zach, who's the ride leader. He's got the yellow arrow over him right there. And Zach and Luke are both my teammates. You can see L Caldwell Shift. I need to put the little Shift logo next to my name, but I'm on Shift Racing. We just put the team on Zwift Power, since it looks like this is going to be an indoor season. I've already been diving into the Zwift racing recently. It's been really fun. Raced with some dudes from Legion of LA. Raced with the Vegan Cyclist a couple of weeks ago. Raced with some guys from Israeli Cycling Academy. It's fun. I mean, it's not real racing. I would rather be outside hitting up the USA crits and whatnot, but it's not a bad substitute. I guess I should talk a little bit about who I am. I'm Jonathan Crane. I'm 30. I'll be 32 on Thursday, actually. Race age 32. I'm primarily a cyclocross racer from Birmingham, Alabama. I'm a Cat 2 road, Cat 2 cross racer. Race a little bit of mountain bike, but not too much USA cycling stuff, mostly like endurance. I guess what used to be called marathon mountain bike stuff. Looks like I'm talking to my teammates now. So me and Luke and Zach have a Discord channel going here so that we can talk. I took that audio out so that I'm not talking over myself talking, but I might put that in the future if we have some interesting chats. So this was also a ride for us to test run that audio and see how using Discord would work before we do it in a race. And I think we're going to do a team time trial on Thursday, 2 days from now. So that should be fun. And we definitely need a way to communicate in a team time trial. It's going to be interesting to see how taking the turns works on Zwift. So right here, we hit this little, I think there's a little, 2%. So Zach was telling me on Discord right here, hey, I'm going to go to the front and just set a decent tempo, and looks like he's doing 5 watts a kilo up there, so pretty solid. Yeah, he said he was going to go to the front and just do a hard tempo, keep it single file, and we're coming into the only real climb. So he's going to make everybody work here, and then he was telling me to just launch on the climb. I'm sure that's what we're talking about. You see us talking. And I think real tactics like this are sort of underused on Zwift. It's hard in some of the Zwift races because everyone is racing completely for themselves and the races are so short. It ends up being a little bit more like a cyclocross race, which is great for me, where there's a really hard start and almost no tactics. Everyone just goes as hard as they can. But I think that's maybe a mistake. I think over time, people sort of figure out how the drafting works and figure out how to use Zwift to replicate outdoors a little more. I think that we may see a little bit more of the normal outdoor tactics. So right now I'm hoping if I give Zach a good gap, because I still got a pretty big group for me, which is unusual this late into this ride. Normally we're down to 3 or 4 of us really hitting it at this point, and so I'm trying to, I think a lot of people are marking me because I'm normally the guy to watch on this ride, me or Martin Moots, who's not here. And yeah, I gave him a gap and now I'm going across to him. So hitting a little watt bomb to just jump across that, whatever that is, 5 or 6. Yeah, we got red numbers. What does that mean? Like 8 or 9 watts a kg. This is really my specialty, is little punches like that, just a bunch of little punches. Being a cross racer, you get really used to going way over your threshold, short punches, but doing it a bunch of times. So that's really the way that I like to race, and it's not perfect for Zwift, but I'm definitely used to the starts. I heard so many horror stories about Zwift races start so hard. I got dropped immediately when I started racing in the A's, and so every A race I did for the first 3 or 4, I would actually get off the front immediately because right before the flag would drop, I would kick it up to 550, and I'm 130. I'm actually 133 pounds today. I'm 135 on Zwift. I weighed myself after this ride, so I'm carting around a couple virtual pounds here. But yeah, I'd kick it up to about 550 before the start, and I would end up flying off the front of the race rather than out the back because I was so scared of getting dropped. And my theory is that everyone who complains about the speed at which Zwift races start, they have not done Pro 1-2 cyclocross races. That is true pain in a serious field, and I race in the Southeast, mostly all over the Southeast, but the Georgia scene especially is super strong. End up racing guys like Ty Magner, who's on Rally UHC in his off season, or Frank Travieso, who he won one of the USA Crits races last year. Okay, so this is the hill. This is Zach said he was going to set a pace into the base of the hill, and then he wanted me to hit it. So I'm going to shut up about that and focus on this effort. So I'm trying to just kind of peg it 430, 440 here to the top of the hill. And I think I'm realizing now that I was hoping that Zach was going to go with me, Z-Raider Zwift. You can see him on the Zwifters nearby there. And as I crest this hill, I realize that I may have sort of dropped Zach. And unfortunately, he's not with the group, and he's also not with me. He's kind of, yeah, you see he's 4 seconds, 5 seconds down on me, and then we got Preston, who's like 13, 14 seconds down on him. Man, Preston is a great Zwifter. The first one of these rides we did, I hadn't fully figured out the Zwift drafting yet, and Preston just like took me to task. I was going off the front, off the back, off the front, off the back, which is something you really got to watch on Zwift. It's you can't use the brakes like you would in real life, and you really can't coast. I think because I'm such a punchy rider, a lot of times in real life, I punch really hard and then I kind of coast up to the group and I get a little bit of recovery while I'm coasting into that draft. And you really can't do that on Zwift. As soon as it sees 0 watts, it really starts to penalize you. And I guess I'll talk a little bit about. So I'm off the front here and I'm kind of letting up a little bit. I think I said something to Zach and he was like, "Dude, I'm effed right now. I'm done." That's what I'm laughing about. Because I'm telling Zach, like, get up to me and then let's go, because he's still in no man's land there. So I'm trying to go kind of a little bit below sweet spot. My sweet spot is like 260 to like 285. My FTP is around 300-ish. So, yeah, now I'm just pegging it at sweet spot. I think Zach told me, like, just go. He's worried about the whole group getting us. The plan is definitely for me and Zach to get together and stay away. Yeah, but racing cross in Georgia, like Frank Travieso won one of the USA Crits races last year. He's a powerhouse. And then you got a bunch of hungry juniors. I think I want to say Puerto Rican XC mountain bike national champion was racing in Georgia for some reason last year. Just get really high quality fields in Georgia and Tennessee. And those starts are so hard. I don't have a power meter on my cyclocross bike, so I have no idea what kind of watts I'm doing, but comparing the effort to what it feels like on Zwift, it feels like most cross races from the start to the first turn, which is normally only about, I don't know, 20 seconds maybe on a long one. But that's like an 800 watt effort. It's like the sprint you would put down at the end of the race, but you do it at the beginning. And then you have to still have the mental faculties to turn your bike on dirt, which if there was a little bit more of a technical aspect to Zwift, I think that would help me. I like to turn. So maybe they'll figure that out. I've thought about racing on CV Arcade because I heard they have some sort of turning functions on there, and it's a little bit more tactical, but seems like all the talent is on Zwift. Like every race I jump into, there's some pros or somebody noteworthy for sure. Raced with some dudes from the Hincappy team and Hamilton United. Okay, here's Zach. Yeah, you can see I'm doing 2:15 there, so I really backed off and just said like, Zach, get to me, and then we'll open the gap up again. So I really got to get in the draft here. So I'll talk a little bit more about how the Zwift group rides work. Zach's the ride leader, so he's got that yellow arrow over him. He's the beacon. Really staying with the beacon in the first part of this ride is the crucial thing. We have some people who don't seem to understand that if you're not with the beacon, you are not on this group ride, much like at real Tuesday Night Worlds. If you attack through the neighborhoods before the light where we know that's the start line, the designated spot, you're not really on Worlds. People will do that from time to time, but if you do that and you win, it doesn't count. So that's also the reason that, so Zach is the leader, and that's the reason that when he types something in the chat, it actually pops up in the middle of the screen at the very beginning of the video. He typed green light, and it popped up in the middle of the screen. There's a running chat, but that stuff it's probably actually blocked by my body on this video setup. Might switch myself over to the other side next time. I don't think there's not really anything useful over there. Those lap times are nothing when you're in a world that's not in rotation today, because those would be the times that people have put down on these segments today. So from this point, I think Zach and I are just trying to trade turns. The asset, I'm backing off. You take a poll now. Like I said, we're doing a team time trial on Thursday with a lot of our shift teammates. So I want Zach and I to figure out how that works. Taking turns, taking polls in Zwift is a little bit different than real life. You can't physically move to the left and then lay off the power. You have to kind of let the person know, I'm going to go down about 20 watts, you go up about 20 watts, and then you both do it gradually. And as long as you're communicating, you can do that and not drop each other. But if anyone surges, you're just both doing a lot of work and you're not really helping each other riding together. I am wearing a skin suit here for the benefit of this video, but it gets so hot riding on Zwift, man. Riding inside gets so hot. I may have to just be fully shirtless in these things in the future. Yeah, so you can see when I'm taking my pulls, I'm trying to go sort of low, 280, 270. I'm trying to go low sweet spot and just kind of settle into that zone, because Zach is really strong. I think probably watts per kg, I'm a little bit stronger than Zach right now. So I know that if I'm in my sweet spot and he's in the draft, we're both going to be pretty comfortable. You can see my heart rate's 135 here. So I'm not doing too bad for sure. That's actually really low for a sweet spot type effort. So I think that means I'm sitting pretty. But yeah, Zach is the ride leader. I think in the future for this ride, we might do more ride leaders, and then you have more beacons. It makes it a little bit easier for people to see. So yeah, you got that big yellow arrow. You got to stay with that person, and you can see them. It's right behind my head right now, but that yellow arrow also pops up on the Zwifters nearby tab. So the logistics of how Zach and I are just kind of settling into this pace for the last couple of miles here. So we talk about how to do this, how to do your own group ride on Zwift. So if your local team, club, whatever, your group ride's canceled, you can't go outside. You should be canceled. You shouldn't be doing any group rides outside. I'll just put that flag in the ground right here. Even if you think it's fine, you don't need to take the chance. Just do it on Zwift. It's fun. Just do it on Zwift for a few months, and maybe we can have some crits and some cyclocross later this year. That's really what you're gambling if you're doing your outside rides with a big group right now. And I would prefer if you didn't roll those dice because I want to do some actual racing. So Zach sets this meetup up. He goes into the Zwift companion app and sets up a meetup. And they just updated where you can select any world, like I said before. So a good move is to see what worlds are going to be in rotation on the day that you want to do a meetup. And do not select one of those worlds that's in rotation. Select another one. And then you'll have these nice open roads like we've got here. It gets really messy if there's a lot of traffic around you and your group is going through a bunch of other groups and it's hard to tell who's who. Zwift, the new update also allows you to invite 100 people. So the catch is everyone who's invited to the ride has to be following the ride leader. So what we did was go into the Facebook group for this ride in real life and just post up Zach's handle and say like, hey, add Zach on Zwift if you want to do the ride. Hit us up, and we've had about 30 people showing up week to week, which is pretty solid, I feel like, for a local ride, local shop ride turned Zwift. Man, my hair looks crazy right here. I always stick my tongue out when I'm going hard. I don't know what that is, but I'm notorious for that. I think I'm just telling Zach something about switching turns right here. But yeah, you can invite 100 people now, so that makes it a lot easier. You can invite, as many as you want, and if some of them don't show up, that's fine. We did it the first few weeks. We did this ride more like the real life ride where we only rode together for 10, 20 minutes before we just lit it up. And I think people got tired of getting dropped in Zwift. On this real life ride, we normally split pretty quickly into an A group and a B group, and the A group is all out race pace, and the B group rides a very efficient pace line. And the B group, they're taking their pulls. I think I'm about to sprint right here. But so you can try and make the A group, and if you don't make the A group, the Bs will pick you up. And yeah, I've been trying to figure out my sprint on Zwift, trying to figure out how to do it, about how long. Yeah, so I put it down from 0.2 miles out, and I think that was too early. And Zach on Discord was like, yeah, dude, you can just take that. See you later. So I kicked it up and then sat up. So yeah, that's Tuesday Worlds. Might tweak this setup a little bit and try and record some actual racing, maybe do some editing. Like and subscribe, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, Tuesday Worlds.